Welcome everyone to our monthly lecture series here with the Royal Geographical Society of Queensland. My name's John Tasker, I'm our president here, and it's a pleasure to have you both here in person and online. We're really excited to have our Young Geographers Forum tonight and have Ayeisha Sheldon from UN to speak with us about her experiences and her career to date. After that, we'll have a bit of time for questions and we'll finish up there. Ayeisha, straight to you.
Hi everyone. I presume you can see the screen and you can see me and you can hear me. So I will start now. Hello everyone. It's great to be here with the Royal Geographical Society of Queensland. I unfortunately am Australian, but I'm not currently living in Australia, so I have not been able to be so involved in the society as I maybe would have liked if I was there. But I'm going to speak to you today about my geo journey and what I've been doing over the past few years, and specifically some of the work within the international and development side of things. So I thought it would be kind of fun to start and to go through my geo journey, since it's literally been around the world and back in a kind of story map perspective. So this is where I've been and where I am now, and just kind of a summary of what I've been doing over the past, I suppose, 6 years or so. Time has been going pretty quick, and I feel like every year or two I'm in a new place doing something new, and every time I come back to Australia or see some of my friends, they always ask, where are you and what are you doing? So it has been, to be honest, a bit of an exhausting last few years around the world studying and working, but it has been an amazing learning experience for me. So yeah, I'll just get started, and then I think after this, I'll talk more specifically about the work that I've been doing in geospatial. So I grew up in Hervey Bay. I'm a Queenslander. I do love the beach and the sun, which is quite ironic since the last few years I have been living in a landlocked country with not much sun. So it definitely has been different. I did my high school in Hervey Bay. I did a lot of math, science, geography, of course, and some different arts and stuff. I studied at the University of Queensland in Brisbane. I did my Bachelor of Science with the major in Geographical Information Systems at UQ. I loved my time at UQ and learning, you know, all about geospatial science. I knew I wanted to be involved in geospatial science when I was in high school. I was really captivated by satellite imagery, and I thought this would be a really cool field to be in. So I was lucky in that I chose my major straight away, was able to graduate in 2016 from my Bachelor of Science. And when I graduated, I really had no idea what I wanted to do and where I wanted to work, or, you know, what specific field I wanted to be in. Geospatial science is, as you all know, very broad, and you can be in many different fields. So I actually took an internship at the Geoinformatics Centre, which is at a university in Thailand. And I had no idea, you know, really about this centre. They said, yes, come and be our intern, sure. So I went over there in 2017 and was an intern and then a research associate. And I'll talk after this about some of the things that I was doing there at that time. But in 2018, I had a really good opportunity to come on at the United Nations Economic Social Commission for Asia and Pacific, which is in Bangkok, to come on as an international consultant and to help them on some of the projects and the work that they were doing. And prior to this, I knew about the UN and I knew different things that they did, but the UN is very complicated. organization with a very intertwined system, and I didn't really know, how geospatial science could fit in to the UN, because a lot of the time, you look at the United Nations as an intergovernmental body that works on, policy and recommendations, and geospatial science at a first glance doesn't really look like something that would totally fit in. So I was really lucky to work within the space application sector. They kind of refer to geospatial data as space applications, and they work on policy recommendations with member states about how we can use geospatial and space application data for sustainable development. And this was a really amazing experience for me. I just started out working there for 3 months. I ended up staying there for just over a year, and ended up also working for them online in 2020. So this was, a really interesting experience where I didn't necessarily use technical GIS skills and mapping skills, but more the knowledge and concepts of geospatial data and how they can be used within different sectors. So that's what I was doing at SCAP in 2018, 2019, and a bit of 2020. After that, I was within the field, and I was surrounded by a lot of people that had masters, PhDs, and a lot of experience. And I kind of figured out that being in the international sector without a master's degree is quite difficult, because you are up against a lot of competition. So I decided to, in 2019, go to Melbourne and do my master's at RMIT. And this was during 2019 and, of course, 2020, during the COVID time. So that was a little bit difficult to do my thesis and to do some stuff, but I prevailed through. And then at the end of 2020, I was lucky enough to get the opportunity to get the job that I currently have now, which is at the United Nations Satellite Centre, UNOSAT, based in Geneva in Switzerland. And this was very unexpected, and my boss asked me to move across the world during COVID, and I moved to Geneva in December 2020 and started working. So the United Nations Satellite Centre is a UN agency. They're not part of the same organization that I used to work with in Bangkok. It's a bit different. They're more of a technical agency. And so I'm really lucky because I'm able to use my geospatial technical skills and remote sensing skills to work on development and humanitarian projects. And these span across several different fields and sectors. We do project monitoring. We also do disaster management, disaster response, also peace and conflict, human rights, and pretty much anything to do with humanitarian and development within the UN system and the UN and the international humanitarian sector. So now I just moved. I actually am now working for UNOSAT online, but I'm based in Lund in Sweden. There was just some personal reasons why I wanted to move, and so I'm currently here. I just actually got back from Australia yesterday, so it was a little bit off timing because I was just there in Queensland for 5 weeks, but I'm back now in Europe. So I'm based in Sweden, and I'm going to be working online and still involved. I'm heavily involved in geospatial networks and the online geospatial community. So I am looking forward to working online and being able to do things like this, to speak and to connect with people while also being able to do my day-to-day job and to work. So that's where I am now. That's where I currently am coming to you live from. And that is where I have been and where I am now. So I will just now, I'm going to go into kind of some of the specific work that I have been doing in the three main places where I was working. So when I was in the Geoinformatics Centre in Thailand back in 2017, 2018, I did an internship, which was a great learning experience. I was fresh out of my bachelor's. I really hadn't used geospatial data or geospatial applications within a practical sense. So at the Geoinformatics Centre, I was really able to learn and to use data for different projects. And at the Geoinformatics Centre, they really do work on development and humanitarian type stuff. So I really enjoyed that, and I think that's really what helps me to push further into working for the UN, because I am really passionate about geospatial data and science for humanitarian and development initiatives. And I think for me, this is a sector that I would like to stay in and would like to keep working in going forward. So I was able to use, the Geoinformatics Centre had really good technological capacity. We were able to use a lot of the new, ArcGIS Online. This was back in 2017, so 2018. So I was able to use these different mapping solutions to work on projects and to display people's data and to do analysis. I also got to do a lot of experimental drone and UAV applications. We had different drones, and we used to do 3D mapping, 3D modeling, and this type of stuff. And because it is a research centre, I was able to do, side research and small research on my own, specifically in the field of disaster management and response. And this was a really interesting time for me. I also do a bit of design, so I was able to help them with designing some materials and also videos and different things. So as someone who just graduated from university, it was a really great experience. And also being a native English speaker, I was able to do written reports and different things, and also able to speak and present and do trainings and different things. So it was a lot of really different things, but also I was able to be flexible and to have a say in things that I wanted to learn, because I was, an intern and also a research associate. After that, I moved over to SCAP and I worked there. SCAP serves as the UN regional hub in Asia and the Pacific. It's made up of about 60 members, mainly countries, the member states countries across the region. And the main focus of SCAP is to deliver on the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. So that's the Sustainable Development Goals and the global initiatives. SCAP is a big organisation. They have huge office in Bangkok, over 9 different divisions, and I was in the space section in the ICT division. So it was very specific and very niche, and I was really lucky to learn and to be involved in all of the programs that they were doing. So they run the regional space program. They also, with geospatial data and space applications becoming a lot more prevalent within technology these days, SCAP was really making an effort to promote the use of space and geospatial data. So when I was there in 2019, they formed the Plan of Action, which was adopted at a ministerial conference. And I was a part of the team that drafted the Plan of Action and also attended the ministerial conference. So it was really exciting to be involved, because at the ministerial conference, you would have members of space agencies. So you'd actually have geospatial experts coming to these events and wanting to hear from the Secretariat and from other member states about how they can use geospatial data. And I think this was really interesting because growing up in Australia, we have, a lot of capacity and a lot of technology, but there's a lot of countries, especially in Asia, that don't have technical capacity. So they might not have, things in place. If a disaster hits, they might not have weather forecasting systems or early warning systems or data available or people available to analyze the data. So being able to listen to different countries and to bring them together, it was a really interesting and a unique experience. And part of that, we developed different like graphics and also things within the plan of action to be able to put together information that member states were able to use. And I was lucky enough to be able to draft different technical papers using my geospatial technical knowledge, and to also create different policy recommendations and different lessons learned that were published on like the SCAP website. So that was really nice to be able to contribute to different staff working papers and to have these put online with like my name and everything. So it was, yeah, it was a really good experience. And then one of the things that I'm most proud about working on was the compendium publication that SCAP launched in 2020. And this was the first geospatial publication that SCAP launched, and I was part of the core drafting team. I did this alongside my master's in 2020. During COVID, I was able to stay inside and work and study all day. So this we drafted and pulled together good practices from around the region to highlight where decision makers could learn from and could use information going forward, especially within sustainable development. So this publication's online. If you want to have a look, it's quite long, but it's a good reference document to search things through. Reading the whole thing is very long. So yeah, this was really, really interesting. And I was able to make some regional maps with data, and also bring together good practices and choose good practices to include in this. And good practices, when I say this, I mean examples of where countries have used geospatial and space applications for sustainable development, and how these practices can be a model for other countries if they want to implement a similar thing. So they don't need to, start from scratch. They can connect with other countries or use similar tools that they've used. So now currently I'm on the other side of things. At SCAP, it was very reporting, policy, recommendations type of thing. I never really used technical JS. I didn't make too many maps or do much analysis. And that was one of the downfalls and the thing that I probably disliked the most. But now I'm on the other side of things. I do a lot of technical analysis, GIS and remote sensing. And now I get to see the other side of things. So it's been really interesting to go from SCAP now to UNOSAT. And at UNOSAT, we have quite a large team spread across the world. We have people in Bangkok, in Geneva, in New York, and then we have a lot of people also online. And UNOSAT works over several different fields and within different areas. They do a lot of emergency mapping, capacity development, work with human rights, peace and conflict. They also have a research sector that looks at AI and different climate modelling, disaster modelling, and then also we do project monitoring and evaluation as well. So I've worked on several different things, many different projects. It's quite fun because I get to do a different project every few months. When something finishes, something new comes along. And last year, me and my colleagues worked with UNDP on using satellite imagery to support Vanuatu's electoral project. And during this project, we used high-resolution satellite data to map buildings across all the islands within Vanuatu. So Vanuatu didn't have a lot of data on their residents, and they wanted to improve their voting within the country. So we were able to digitize buildings and compare them with polling station locations, as well as other data, to provide them with analysis on where they might need to put a polling station, or how far away polling stations were to residents. And this was really interesting project because, as many of you know, Vanuatu is made up of many islands, like an archipelago. So to get into all of the islands and to survey on the ground would have been very difficult. So we were able to use satellite imagery to map out and to show where different residents and different buildings were located. So this went over several months. We worked with UNDP, and UNDP also had field teams that went out and collected data. So this is just a quick overview. We do have a story map that's online if you want to have a look, which goes into like the project in more details. More recently, with the current situation happening in Ukraine, we've been working with UNESCO to safeguard cultural heritage properties. So we have a joint project going on with UNESCO that we're monitoring their World Heritage cultural sites using satellite imagery. So this, we have a list of sites, and we look at their different cultural heritage sites over a period of time to see if damage has been done, also to confirm different damage or different things along those lines. We've been working with UNESCO. Something that is quite popular in UNOSAT is their emergency mapping service. I'm not so involved in this program because I am not working this team, but UNOSAT has a very well-known emergency mapping service online, and they undertake different mapping activities for different humanitarian emergencies related to disaster and complex emergencies. And this service is sponsored by some of the member states and is provided online free of charge. So UNOSAT's analysis and data is put up on the website, and it can be downloaded as shape files and geospatial data, so that other people or other researchers or centres can use the data for further analysis. So UNOSAT creates maps, like PDF maps, as you can see on the screen, and other maps, and then all of the shapefile data is then available to be downloaded online so that it can be used for different analysis. So this is really interesting, I think, to be able to provide this open source geospatial data when a disaster occurs, and then for people to be able to use this data either afterwards to either in country to predict and to use it for disaster mitigation, or also to use it for disaster response. So I think I will be wrapping up in a moment, but I just now wanted to mention a few online and kind of networking initiatives that I've been a part of. So since I finished my master's, I've tried to be involved in geospatial networks online. It's been, especially during COVID, it was such a great way to connect with other geospatial like-minded people, and I've met some amazing people through the different networks. So I'm quite heavily involved in the Women in Geospatial Network, which is a global professional network that's based all online and volunteer run. They have a Facebook and a Slack page, and people just connect and share what they've been doing, if they're sharing events or different things. We try to get people in regional sectors together and to do different activities now that everything is opening up again. But they also have a mentorship program, which I was involved in last year, and different events that they run. It's all free to join. You can just follow. It is mainly based, aimed at women plus in geospatial, just to help women connect and to meet other women in similar fields. Something that I was doing last year that was really fun is the 30-day map challenge. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but it's a volunteer-run Twitter initiative that is run by this guy, which I forgot his name, but he runs this, and it's just pretty much every day you post a map in with a theme, and you don't have to do all days. You can do 1 day or 2 days, and you just do it on Twitter. It's really fun. You just see everyone's maps, and they make some pretty funny stuff. So this was just kind of a fun thing that a lot of people in the geospatial community, get involved in and connect over. So these are some of the maps that I made last year. Especially being in Europe, November is the worst time of year. So it's nice to be able to do some kind of fun indoor activities after work, and just to make some maps and share things online with other fellow geospatial people. So yeah, check that out online if you're interested. And yeah, it's coming back in about 2 months, so I'm looking forward to it. But that kind of wraps up the presentation. I just wanted to highlight a few lessons learned. I'm definitely still learning lessons, but so far I really think there's value in putting yourself out there. I think that that's something I've been quite good at doing, to having an online portfolio and posting stuff on LinkedIn or Twitter and kind of getting my name and stuff out there. I think it is really helpful to establish yourself, and to also, help for future job opportunities or different things. And also the fact that now geospatial science and geospatial data can really contribute to so many fields, no matter where you are in the world. I've been quite lucky to be able to move around and travel a lot, but this is something that's not for everyone. A lot of people think it looks, quite fun and glamorous, but there's definitely hard times to being moving every 1 or 2 years. So yeah, this is kind of what I would like to end with, some lessons learned. And yeah, just to being a part of the geospatial community is, I think, really special, and everyone in the geospatial community is really open to, talking, and just even having a Zoom call or a catch up with someone and just speaking about different things. I think it can really help in growing connections and the community as well. So that is everything. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter or connect with me on LinkedIn or send me a message, I would be happy to talk with anyone. And yeah, that's all for now.
Thank you so much, Ayeisha. Camera's back on. There we go. Do we have any questions from our audience or those online? Giselle, up the front.
Thank you so much for your presentation, Ayeisha. That was really fascinating. I was wondering, what would you say has been the most rewarding and also the most challenging aspects of your kind of career journey so far?
Thanks for your question. I think the most rewarding is being able to be in a field that you work with so many different people from the international sector. Not only do I work on things that are quite interesting, also working with very interesting people. So both, when I've been in Thailand and also in Switzerland, I've been working with a whole team of people from different countries. And I think that's really interesting, just to connect with each other and to have, friends or colleagues that are from, a completely different country or a completely different region, or just grew up in a completely different way, and to have their perspectives on things, both within work and with also a personal context, I think is really rewarding. The most challenging is also being away from home, I suppose. So in one aspect, it's amazing to be connected with these people, but in another, it also is difficult to be in a different place or be in a country that you've never been to before, you don't speak the language, or, you know, adapting to different situations like that. It's, yeah, at first it's definitely difficult, but yeah, just to find, you know, small things, make friends, and to, yeah.
Annie, you've got your hand up.
Thanks so much for the talk. I really enjoyed it. I just wanted to know if I wanted to be quite proactive and volunteer or start on something, because I can't take up an internship at the moment because I'm halfway through my PhD, but I want to be more proactive, like be in a challenge or a project. Where would I start, or where should I look?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think internships in general are quite difficult, especially, you know, a lot of internships maybe aren't paid, or you have to commit a certain amount of time to, but definitely doing your own type of projects. I think if you wanted to do something on your own, I like to just make maps or do, you know, random stuff when I have free time. But you could check out the Women in Geospatial network, or if you have a LinkedIn or something, you could, you know, put out the word to ask if anyone wanted to volunteer with you to do something, you know, to create a story map or different online geospatial portfolio or website or something. And then, you know, you can put together an analysis and just have something out there. I think now with a lot of online web-based solutions, it's really nice to create something and then to have it online, and then to easily share with people as well. If you need it for study or for work or something, you can say I've done ABC and like this is my website or my portfolio, and you have everything there. But I guess just to see something you're interested in, see what data is available. That's probably another thing. There's so much open source data available now, from, you know, vector data to all the satellite imagery data that is available. There's so many things that you can look into doing, that's available open source. So I think just find something that you're interested in and then see what you can find.
Thanks. Just to follow up though, so to start creating a portfolio, I know Story Maps is linked with ArcGIS, I believe, which is not a free and open source software. Are there free software that I could start with to start a portfolio?
Yeah, I think there is a few different, it depends on what I guess you want to do. I've started out using like a website builder to do my portfolio on, and then embedded things in there. But I think if you are into like coding, there's different platforms you can create. Esri actually launched recently story maps, which they have made like a separate one to the ArcGIS Online, and there is a free version. That's actually what I used to show my geo journey just before. It's just storymaps.com, and you can create like 5 free stories and publish them, and then you need to pay. But it's no, like Esri products are very expensive. This story maps, I think it's like $100 a year or something. So if you want to do more stuff, you need to pay for the premium version. But the free version, the story that I presented earlier, I just did on the free version, and it's quite good if you want to do something. So I can show the link in the chat. It's quite new. I think it was only launched like a few months ago.
Perfect. I think we had a question in the chat there from Brett, and I would probably expand on that and ask not just high school students, but also university students. What are the types of skills and spaces that they should be preparing and growing to make them competitive in the industry?
Yeah, I think just learning, and then also like creating your skills and then also putting your skills into practice. I think definitely for me, I went through university, and I'm not sure what university is like now. I feel very old, but when I was at university, you know, a lot of the classes, they gave you the data, they gave you, you know, the instructions, and then you did the outputs. But I think really going online and understanding where data is from and where you can get open source data from is a really good skill, and then able to use this and to do kind of side projects. And also there's a lot of tools out there with, you know, QGIS. There's a full portfolio of tutorials and what you can do. I think expanding your skills, because within JS, you know, a lot of the stuff that I learned in university anyway was Esri technology, Esri products. And as you know, it's very expensive and it's not open source. So maybe being able to learn open source, you know, how to use QGIS or different things like that would be beneficial, especially because you never know which where you'd end up working. You know, they might not use Esri technology, but they probably, yeah, I don't know, it just depends. But just kind of knowing open source, and also yeah, as well as Esri, obviously, I guess that's what's taught, but to know open source I think is really beneficial. But that may be a bit intense if you're leaving high school. But I think just knowing the industry, also knowing what you're passionate about, you can be in any industry in JS. So kind of having a niche of what you like to do would also really help. Yeah.
Is there any particular technology, data set, application that you're currently really excited by and want to see more of?
Since working at Unisat, I have been working a lot with satellite imagery and satellite data. And I just find it really interesting because when I was doing my bachelor's at UQ, we were using, you know, Landsat imagery. And since then, the Sentinel program has come a huge way. And now with Sentinel-2, Sentinel-1 imagery, you can do so much. And we use it, of course, you know, for work stuff, but just for personal things like, you know, there was a recent flooding in New South Wales and Queensland earlier in the year. And some of my family lives in northern New South Wales, and I was just able to go on to Sentinel Hub and, you know, look at satellite imagery and just to see, you know, the flood, or just to, there was, you know, the fires back a few years ago. You can just go on to Sentinel Hub and see, you know, see the imagery, and it's updated regularly, and just to go on and look at that imagery and just to see different things that are happening. I find that really interesting. And I go on the Sentinel Hub all the time looking at stuff, random stuff, and like different things that are happening in the world. So I think within GIS you can also become someone that just works with geospatial data, but I think also knowing about remote sensing and satellite imagery is also something that is a really good skill to have. And now with the increase in satellites and technology, yeah, being able to also use satellite data is also a good skill to have, and it's really interesting. Yeah.
Last question, and then we might wrap up. Is there anything you would change about your geo journey?
Probably I guess, like, in hindsight, probably no, but also I think, you know, when I started in my bachelor's, I didn't, you know, really know specifically what field to go into, and so I was lucky enough to, you know, take the internship and then work in development and realize that's what I wanted to do. But yeah, I think you can just see what feels right for you. I think also making, you know, connections and studying and taking it seriously. I think when I was in my undergrad, I didn't really I should have studied harder and, you know, got better marks and stuff like that. But I think it also shows that you can kind of also be an all-rounder, and you never know what you might do. Like if someone told me in high school that I would live in Europe and work, I probably would have thought, that's crazy, but somehow I've ended up here. So yeah, I think just do things that you feel passionate about and that you enjoy, and you'll be able to, succeed in that. I think don't let people push you into doing something that you don't want to. I think that's really important to enjoy the work that you're doing.